Hello again, and welcome to Retirement Coffee Talk with Sharice Rivers at Zinnia Wealth. Online, you can find us always at zinniawealth.com, ZINNIA wealth.com. It is an interesting time of the year once we get to October, and that means the Medicare window has opened up. You probably already know that because there's stuff in your mailbox, there's stuff in your email, there's stuff in your text. Everybody's wanting to sell you something when it comes to Medicare. Take this plan. You should switch. Yeah, okay, great. What should I? Sharice, how do I know whether or not to, how do I evaluate all this?
Well, let's just say I used to be the Medicare guru for the longest time. I feel like I'm still the guru, but I assigned that guru duty to Paul here in our office. But I had somebody who called in and said, Sharice, I don't know who they were. They just had some basic questions. And I have a great plan, Sharice, and I'm not sure if I should change it or not. I have this insurance agent who's, trying to sell me on like a different Advantage plan, et cetera. And I'm not sure because it sounds so good. And just know that the insurance people out there, they get paid to sell you plans, which is fair, right? They educate you. They show you how to do it. They make it easy. You got somebody to call every year and they get paid a couple of bucks. So that's probably why they're trying to push hard on this person to sell it. Or to buy a new plan. And so my recommendation is this: when you like a plan, but another plan sounds good, my recommendation is call all your doctors. And if you really like your doctors, you don't want to change them, I would always call the doctors and say, hey, I'm thinking about moving to this other Medicare plan. Do you take it? Mm-hmm. And they'll probably say, yeah, we're taking it now, but next year in 2024, we're not going to take it. I highly recommend that is the first thing you do. If your doctors are the most important thing, because they could be on that network today, that book you're reading over the next 3 months before the Medicare enrollment closes, those doctors will likely be on it, but doesn't mean they'll be on it next year. I see this happen all the time. So make sure your doctors are on the plan if you're on a plan that you really like. And if you want to switch to the plan, make sure they're on that plan. The other thing I recommend is you got to look at your prescription drugs. Those are ever changing. So if you have a plan right now and you really like it, and let's say you have a copay of a drug for $10, make sure you check that formulary again this year for 2024 to make sure it's going to be 10, because it could have been popped up into another tier drug level and now you're paying 35. And if you move to the new company, maybe you're paying 0 or back to 10. So you have to do the math, and you do have to keep up with it every year. And you could call Medicare. Medicare is great. They answer all your questions as well. You can call us. We'd be happy to talk to you about it. So it's very important for our clients, that are working with us to get the right plan. Because if you get the wrong plan, it could be a domino effect and a huge hazard in the future, because you got to choose between a Medicare supplement or an Advantage plan, or do you keep your employer plan? And a lot of times those employer plans are so good, I'm hesitant to move anybody out of them. I'm like, no, this is glorious. Let's keep that, right? So Medicare questions, they're all out there. You guys are getting lots of mail, and you're going to go to Humana or Freedom or AARP or Blue Cross, or there's so many, right? And then you also have to maybe decide your drug plan. But let me just talk to you about the basics of Medicare. So Medicare A, B, C, and D. Let's just go over the basics. Medicare Part A is your hospital coverage. And you don't pay anything for Part A because you paid it through your FICA taxes your entire life. But I will tell you, if you just get Medicare and you have that red, white, and blue card, and you never get an Advantage plan, or you never get a Medicare supplement to cover the gap, well, if you just stay the course on Medicare, well, you'll have a $1,600 deductible if you go into the hospital, right? And you can pay that 6 times in 1 year.
Ooh.
Yes, 6 times in 1 year. It's a steep number. So A is free, basically, and you have your deductible. Now, Part B, it's $164.90 this year, and it's probably likely to go up to $174 next year. That just means that that's Part B. You're paying a premium for your Part B. These are your doctor's visits, your labs, your chemotherapy, lots of things like that. But I will tell you, some people's Part B, if Part B premium this year is $164.90, it's all dependent on income. As your income goes up, that premium can go up, and so can your Part B premium. And so we've seen people's premiums go up to $550 a month. We'll talk about that at the tail end. It has to do with something called IRMA. But I want to keep moving on the basics of Medicare. So Medicare Part B, you know what you pay every month. Medicare Part B also, at the beginning of the year, when you go to your doctor's visit, has a deductible. And the deductible this year, 2023, is $226. And so once that's paid, then you have your co-insurance, right? So you pay 20% of the bill. We just went over Medicare Part A and Medicare Part B. Now I want to talk about Medicare Part D. I'm going to skip over C for a second. Medicare Part D is your prescription drug. So if you just have Medicare, the red, white, and blue card, and you don't get any kind of other plan, you're probably going to want to get a prescription drug plan, because Part D is your RX, those drugs you might need. And if you don't get a drug plan when you qualify, if you're with the VA, it's a different story, of course. If you're with an employer plan, that's a different story. But everybody else, if you don't get a Part D, you're like, Sharice, I don't need D. I don't have any drugs. I'm healthy as can be. Well, they're going to penalize you every month that you don't take it. And eventually you're going to be like, I'm going to take it, or you're not going to even know these rules. And when you do need some drugs, then you get a plan. You're going to be wondering why you're paying $50 a month more than your neighbor. And that is why there's penalties. So you got to know these rules and when to get in, and so that you don't get hit with these penalties. So that's Part D. So you got A, B, and D now. This is so complicated. I hope everybody's understanding what I'm putting down
I'm
here.
with you.
But if not, you come into my office. I do love talking about Medicare. But then there's Medicare Part C. Everybody's like, Sharice, what in the world is Medicare Part C? Well, Medicare Part C are your Advantage plans, your PPOs, your HMOs, your POSs, you name it. And so when you get a Medicare Part C, if you say, hey, I want an HMO, Sharice, or I want a PPO, what you're doing is you're forfeiting your Medicare. You're not using your Medicare card anymore, because now you're following the bylaws and rules of a Medicare Part C plan. And you know what? A lot of them are pretty good, honestly. You got the AARP, you got the Blue Cross Blue Shield. You got the Freedom Health. There's so many. I'm not picking sides here. But it's kind of a pay as you go. As things happen to you, you pay copays. Some things aren't copays. Sometimes and a lot of times your prescription drug plans are in them and you don't pay a premium for them. And a lot of them have gym membership. So there's pros and cons to each plan out there, and there's a lot. So make sure you're getting the right plan. But let me tell you this much. If you get a HMO, depending on the state and city you live in, you got to follow a network of doctors, and those doctors can come off the plan anytime, but you cannot until the next enrollment period the following year. So, and you have to jump through hoops with the Medicare Advantage plan. Some things aren't going to be covered, and they're going to say, no, you got to do this first, and you got to do this first. And if those things don't work, or those drugs don't work well with your body, then we'll consider to allow you to use these other options that maybe you really do need. So some plans, there's some hoops. I'm not a hoop jumper. When I need something, I want it, and I want it fast, and I want it now. So you pay for what you get, right? So those Medicare Part C plans, you typically don't even pay a premium for them. Once a blue moon, some of them have premiums, but as long as you pay your Medicare Part B premium, that $164.90 every month, this is, you're not paying extra for this plan. You're just paying as you go for copays, which is nice. But I will say, I'm a big fan of the Medicare supplement. This is totally different, right? So I just totally confused you all with the Medicare Part C, which I like some of them and I dislike a lot of other ones. But I really am a big fan of the Medicare supplement more than any other plan. And yes, this is the difference. You have to pay for that plan. So not only do you pay for your $164 for your Medicare Part B premium every month, you're also paying for that AARP supplement, whatever plan you get. You can get them in Blue Cross, you can get them in Humana, you name it. You can get them anywhere. You just pay a premium. And what are you paying for exactly? Where you're paying that you never have to pay that hospital deductible. You're paying that you don't have to pay the Part B deductible. You're paying that premium every month, so you don't have to pay a 20% copay every time you go get a CAT scan or MRI or go see a doctor, et cetera. So you pay a premium for freedom of choice. You get to go to any doctor across the country that accepts Medicare. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. There's no network you have to follow like the Medicare Part C plans and HMOs and PPOs. So I know this was a mouthful, you all, but you have some decisions to make, and they're coming around the corner. We want you to know that we can help you understand these decisions. We can help guide you. We can even help put you in some of these plans, or we'll send you off to an insurance agent that we feel they have a better plan than what we have. We do that all the time, believe it or not. And because we want you to get this right. Medicare, you don't want to mess around with. It can be very costly. And don't forget, there's also this window of guaranteed period where you can get covered for any kind of health issues you have right now. So that's a whole nother conversation we won't talk about in radio, but come in and see us, because it's important to understand this stuff, because if it didn't just sound confusing to you guys, I really do have a more simple way to show it to you on paper, to say the least.
We would love to be able to help you with your decision when it comes to that. If that is one of the reasons that you feel you need some financial help or just some help situationally because right now you're trying to make that decision, give us a look on our website, zinniawealth.com. There's a big gold box there that says Complimentary Retirement Consultation. Click on that. You'll be on your way. Or you can just reach out to us this way, 833-368-3680. Again, 833-368-3680.
Thanks for listening to the Retirement Coffee Talk podcast. If you have questions or would like to begin the process of building a tailored retirement plan, call Zinnia Wealth at 803-368-3680 or find us online at zinniawealth.com.
Sharice Rivers is an investment advisor representative of Zinnia Wealth Advisory, LLC, a registered investment advisor. Exposure to ideas and financial vehicles discussed should not be considered investment advice or recommendation to buy or sell any financial vehicle. Past performance is not a guarantee of future results. Investments can fluctuate and when redeemed may be worth more or less than when originally invested. Financial professionals are not licensed in all 50 states. To find out if Sharice Rivers is licensed in your state, please contact their office. Zinnia Wealth Advisory, LLC is not affiliated with nor endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any other government agency and does not provide legal or tax advice. Annuity guarantees rely solely on the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing insurance company. Any client experiences discussed during this show are unique to that client. They are not meant to imply or suggest you will experience the same results. By contacting us, you may be provided with information about insurance and annuity products offered through Sharice Rivers, NPN Insurance License Number 8718011.